The Joel Fernandez Show is a talk show channeled spontaneously from source to edify and help raise the vibrations of truthers, starseeds, Christic alchemists, and others who have seen through this illusionary matrix into messianic consciousness by discussing hidden knowledge, higher dimensions, and manifesting so that we can shine our light for everyone to see and co create the earth that we know we actually deserve to live in. Don't! I gotta go! I'm working on the show!
Here we go. Where is everybody? Come on, we got a show to do. Let's go.
Welcome back to another episode of The Joel Fernandez Show. I'm Joel Fernandez, and it's just an early morning today. I'm enjoying some cantaloupe. Honestly, one of the best cantaloupes I've had in a long time. Sometimes it's hard getting a good cantaloupe, and then when you try and keep it and get it to ripen, it just gets all lumpy and ferments. I mean, some fruits are better fermented, but not cantaloupe. Honestly, you know what? This is the 33rd episode of the show. I never thought it would get this far. I mean, synchronicity here. I'm 33 years old this year, so maybe there's something to it. But I literally just got finished editing one of the reasoning sessions, and as that's uploading, I'm actually going to go to the print shop and submit the poster that I finished in the previous episode for printing. And if you wait till the end of this episode, I'm going to be revealing the final product. But yeah, honestly, like, a lot's been going on, and my vibration has just been raising higher and higher. Like, I literally can't stop it. And that's the one thing that I've set myself to create, to focus on. It's actually raising the vibration through no matter what baggage I've had before, even if that involves shedding some of the old things. And honestly, I thought, like, I had an edge when it came to, comparing myself to the average Joe, because I knew how to apply certain astrological trends. I knew what certain crystals and how to use certain plants, in more ways than just cooking, at least. And I thought, that was good enough. But then I started to use those for the answer. And I realized, like, if you're using the physical manifestations for help, then you're only limiting yourself to what those physical manifestations can give you. There's a source that, even manifested those things. There's a source that manifested the sun and the moon. There's a force that manifested all plants and all crystals. All crystals literally emanate from the heart of this being. And when you tap into this being, you're not limited by having this crystal in your hand or putting it on your forehead or whatever. Just like this, and then you feel the energy pouring through your system. No, it's not like that. You literally have the source of all things emanating from within you and through you, and that manifests, open doors like you wouldn't believe. Like, the first manifestation I did when I tapped into this, it was my vegan channel, and on there I was just like sharing videos of vegan recipes because I knew what it did for me, and I wanted that same vibration for other people. But how was it that I was able to make 30 recipes in 30 days? And not just, soup and salad. I was literally making vegan lasagna, vegan puddings, vegan pizza, all of these things like day after day. And I didn't even plan it. I just had 30 days and I'm like, I'm going to make these recipes. I'm going to film them. I'm going to edit the videos. I'm going to put them up on YouTube for other people doing the 30-day Veganuary challenge. And literally that manifested overnight. And same thing with this show. It manifested overnight. Same thing with the reasoning sessions. I just was sitting in my car one day reading the scriptures, and then all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I'm going to share this passage. And then a couple weeks later I did the same thing. And then all of a sudden that escalated to doing that every day. There's literally like 2 weeks more worth of messages that I have lined up to make. And Source is not being quiet. There's messages coming through even now. So it's just adding on and adding on. All my paintings literally just funneled through in an instant. I shared painting that one a couple episodes back, and even the music I put the speed lapse to, that's music that Source is bringing through me. And I also write music for classical instruments as well. On top of all that, there's a lot of other forms of artwork I'm manifesting, even the poster that I'm going to be unveiling at the end of this episode. And I'm active in other groups that, I just went to visit some people, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, you do this, let's do this together. And all of a sudden, like half a dozen more open doors just showed up. But that's the intensity of infinite Source. And when you're ruled by, oh, the moon is in this sign, or I don't have this crystal today, so I can't really tap into this energy, like you're just cutting your own legs out from under you. But when you tap into the Source that actually manifested all those things, you literally have all those things at your disposal without being limited by the physical manifestations of having those things in your hand. And then if Source wants to bring those physical manifestations into your hand, so be it. I mean, look at this. I'm wearing Tiger's Eye, an amazing stone, and it just facilitates activity. It facilitates manifestation. But in the calendar that Source downloaded to me, Tiger's Eye corresponds with the constellation Leo, or according to tropical zodiac, Virgo, because of the processional slippage. But you know what? It's July, and I'm wearing it today, and I'm taking this thing forward. Because not only is this message going forward, literally this show is going forward. Nothing is stopping Source from manifesting all these avenues. So that's the essence that I want for all of us. Like, we're literally moving into a new era of doing things, and we're literally manifesting our best lives yet. Literally manifesting the kingdom of heaven in this earth, and not holding back. Because if we hold back, we're sabotaging that manifestation. So when that truth, when that light, when that absolute destiny for everybody comes through, that's when we can actually embody who we're here to be. Not just our own individual selves, but the people around us can actually start to mirror that back to us. It's like, you be the change you want to see in the world. You be the catalyst of potential for other people to gravitate to. And once you do that, you're going to start to see changes like never before. And they're going to start small in your own inner circle. But once they get beyond that, man, we're literally moving into a new era. And some people call that the age of Aquarius. Some people call that the kingdom age. And yes, there's an astrological manifestation of this happening as the sun, when it's passing over on the vernal equinox, moves backward into the water pot of Aquarius. But it can't be Aquarius anymore because tropical and sidereal zodiac don't line up. So we have to move into a new era when we call these things by different names that harmonize these principles together. Literally the constellation of Aquarius, but now in the sign of Pisces. Like, we literally have to come up with a new way of defining this stuff. And that's what Source gave me in the calendar. The message is, don't be limited by whatever was in the previous era. There's a new era when you're going to look at these constellations, and according to the tropical pulse, you're going to be able to define it in this new light. And the sun has already moved into this constellation. It's not just in the stream of water coming out of the pot, it's actually crossed into the pot. All right, so this is the line of the vernal equinox. The sun crosses over across the equator. That's obviously represented by the entrance into Aries in the spring. But here we have the constellations, and as you can see, this line is already in the constellation of Aquarius. You see his legs here and his arms, and he's holding this water pot, and the stream is going out, and that actually connects with Eridanus, the Jordan River in the zodiac. But check it out, this constellation's actually moved forward this way, and it's already crossed not just the water stream, but it's entered into the pot of Aquarius. We have literally entered into this new era. But you know what? With that shared, I'm actually going to get going. This cantaloupe was amazing. So I'm going to get ready, and we're going to take that file to the printers. We got the thumb drive here and we're just on our way to the print shop to drop that off. So I'm going to be doing that today, and stay tuned till the end of the episode because I'm going to be unveiling the actual printed version. But I also wanted to add, things are really in upheaval in the world stage right now. And, we are going to see things happen. But ultimately, I want to say, pay attention to the thumb drives that surface. Because sources told me that a lot of information is going to come out that people thought they were going to be able to hide. Even people really high up. Because you know what? It's not the politicians. It's not even the media. They're being controlled by people way higher than even those systems. They're being controlled by people way up there that have been completely out of the public eye. But they're going to be exposed and they're going to be held accountable. So we are literally living in the pivotal moment this month of July, this summer 2021. Things are coming crashing down. London Bridge is falling down, and you can take that more ways than one. But literally this whole empire, Babylon the Great, has fallen. And we're literally entering into a new era. So I'm going to get going. I'm going to drop off this print file and we're just going to take the show from there. All right, so we just dropped off that print file and it's going to be at least a day before it's ready. So I'm just going to hang out with y'all, and I'm probably going to get back in the office and actually get back to work on the novel. That's all I can say about that right now. But like I said, Source is literally just opening so many doors. Like, I didn't even know I had this many talents, guys. But seriously, when Source starts moving in you and through you, it's just like a wildfire just ignites, and you really realize, wow, I've been sitting on all of this all my life, and what have I been doing with it? It's intense and it's crazy, but it's great. And like I said, like the first thing to wake me up to life was to stop putting death in me. But like I said, the first manifestation of all this blossoming out was literally the vegan channel. And I literally said, I want to share my vegan journey with other people because it literally changed my life. Of course, the revelation that, when you eat death, that just has to manifest through you. And if you stop eating death, hey, you don't have that in you to manifest anything. On top of that, animals don't want to die. On top of that, the whole animal agriculture industry is not very sustainable. And on top of that, you check out our physiology, the length of our gut, the type of teeth we have. It's all geared towards, not carnivores. And people say, oh, we have canines. Like, yeah, I'd like to see you bite into a hamster. Actually not. But that's the whole thing. Like, when you raise your vibration, you got to let go of what's been holding you back. You got to let go of it. And once you let go of it, you realize there's this whole other world of life and variety and just substance in that. So like, we all have our starting points, but it doesn't matter. Source is not limited by that. Literally, I was like one of the worst of the worst. Like, I would literally eat anything I could get my hands on. And of course, a lot of that was done in rebellion to the way I'd been raised, because I knew the scriptural guidelines, don't eat swine's flesh, don't drink blood. And I knew all of that stuff. But man, when I went the other way, like, I was like, all bars are off and I'm just going down this path. And then once I had that awakening, of course, to be fair, cannabis was my first awakening to make me think outside the box and realize, hey, you know what? Love is what's important. Truth is what's important. Harmony with each other is what's important. And if I'm harmonious with other beings, of course I'm not going to want to kill animals. I don't want to kill my puppy. So I just harmonized my mind with my heart, my actions with what my inside was telling me. And from there, that was the first step. But I had to shed relationships that were still holding on to that kind of mentality where, we have to eat animals, we have to eat certain things. And, my heart goes out to these people. Like, I still care for them, but I can't allow them to hold me back. So once I did that, like, things just escalated, and I just kept walking more and more with Source and more with that inner guidance system. And, eventually that led to me opening that vegan channel. And that vegan channel literally allowed me to see more of my own talents, not just in cooking and seeing that I had all these recipes and more at my disposal. I still have recipes that I want to post on that channel, but honestly, I'm so busy with everything else. It's like, that can wait. That can wait because I have quite a few videos on that channel already. And especially now with the way the lockdown has been, like Alberta's come out of the lockdown now. But the way the lockdown had been, like I couldn't just go to the store twice a week and just buy whatever groceries I needed for every recipe I wanted to make. So that kind of was inhibited, but you know what? Just because the horse is taking a drink at the river, that doesn't mean that I'm not riding on. But yeah, like we all have our own starting point, right? But we just take the next step. And even if you're not vegan, like as long as you have that awareness and you make those decisions every time you can, you're going to start to see yourself moving forward and more in line with this harmony of functioning as an ecosystem, as within this macro organism. The whole world functioning in harmony is what we're moving into. And when the whole world is in harmony, that's when we can literally manifest our best lives yet. We don't need anything to hold us back. And if we're holding ourselves back, that's the worst of all. So yeah, I just wanted to share that because like no judgment based on where you are or what you're currently doing, but make those small steps, baby steps in the direction of harmonizing with source, in harmony with others, and not just humans, because there are humans that will try and sabotage you, but you still walk in harmony with them. You still walk in harmony with the creatures around you, with the environment around you. Those are stepping stones to building a more harmonious society. But it's source that brings that alive in our own hearts. Our egos will get involved and we'll try and get caught up in retaliation or vengeance or just saying, this thing isn't working out, let me cut this person off. But source is that agape love, that unconditionality that sees their potential, even though they're not manifesting that full harmonious potential in the moment. Source sees the end from the beginning, and that perspective coming from within you can literally manifest people changing because you're looking at them with that awareness, with that vision, situations changing. Literally this lockdown being lifted in Alberta, like I was fighting it from the physical, with affirmations and meditations and visualizations and all this stuff for a whole year. And that did good for my own inner self. But man, when I came at it from the causal realm and I came against the strongholds and the principalities that were controlling, especially our region in Calgary here, literally things shifted almost overnight. It looked like our premier was absolutely, pro lockdown, and he was doing some pretty intense manipulation and control. But all of a sudden, after dealing with the causal realm, he just came out straight up and said, Alberta is open for the summer. We're revoking all restrictions. And I was like, wait a minute, how is this happening right away? But then I knew we had attacked it from the causal realm and broken the control that these demons have had over our region. And there are territorial principalities. They do run things from this perspective where they control certain regions. And when you go to a certain region, you can tell this region is steeped in poverty, or there's a lot of crime and murder in this one. Or, you go to one place and there are certain types of stores. Like even the new age stores, like a lot of the stuff they sell and a lot of the stuff they promote, it might be good and might be high vibe, but the methods through which they manifest things are still physical. And that actually is very mundane. It's very egoic, and people will beat themselves up if they don't have the right tools in the moment, or they don't have their meditations in their ears, or they don't have the right message to listen to. They're still ruled by a lot of these physical circumstances, and I had to break out of that. I had my own journey with that. I used to listen to Bashar and Abraham Hicks and Joseph Murphy and Neville Goddard and all these guys like nonstop all day. Like literally that was my life, and that served to get me to a positive mindset, but it never really changed the physical manifestations until I realized that source itself manifested all these physical manifestations. And if source is manifesting through me, then I'm not ruled by the limits of physical manifestations. The circumstances don't matter. Bashar says that, but when you're looking at physical means to accomplish a physical end, you're limited by those physical means. So the only way to move past those physical limitations is to shed the limitations of the physical, of astrology, of crystals, of meditations and visualizations and vision boards. All of those can help, but Source has to lead you through them, because Source literally has to manifest this potential through you. And when you tap into that potential, literally things that you never even imagined will show up. Like here I am with this group of people, and I'm playing music, I'm doing graphic design, I'm setting up magazines and printed material and websites for them, and on top of doing the music on my own hobby, on top of doing paintings and graphic design and posters and all this stuff as my own hobby, on top of making the videos that I share with you guys, because that's the real message that Source is bringing through to this physical realm through me at this moment. And literally there's no stress involved. It's not difficult. It's not like, oh, I got to make another video today and I have all these backed up messages to reason on. None of that. It's literally just flows through. And as I go about my day, these videos just get done. They just automatically get done. And like the recipes get done. And like I said, I'm going to get back to the office and work on the novel. I never even dreamed that was possible, but here I am manifesting a life beyond my wildest dreams, and new relationships, new connections. And like I said, with groups of people that I never even thought I'd be congregating with, literally a life beyond my wildest dreams. That's what I want for all of us. That's what I want for you guys, because literally we all have this potential in us. We all just have to tap in and ask Source from our hearts. Just say, Source, you're the life that gives life to all the physical manifestations. The sun is a physical manifestation. Yes, the sun is the visible sign of life, the visible sign of the life giver in our dimension. But the sun isn't the source of that life that gives rise to life. That is non-physical. And when we tap into that non-physical source, in our heart space, in awareness is what's non-physical, and that's our link, our conduit to this absolute infinity of power, of possibilities, of realities manifested and unmanifested as of yet. All timelines, all destinies, all capabilities exist in this data code of the quantum probability source field. Literally the living logos. That's what that means in scripture. The data that arises all things, through which all things are created. Without this, there's nothing created. This is the information that gives rise to all things. And it already exists, completed, the end from the beginning, in the causal realms. So that's what we got to tap into. That's literally the source that gives rise to it all. And it is awareness. It has personality, and you can talk to it. It's not just some infinity blob of prana energy that, is just out there and you tap into and allow the energy to flow through you. That's all well and good, but this energy has a personality. And when you communicate with this personality, it will communicate back with you and open all these doors of possibility in your life, in your destiny. Because your destiny was given to you at conception, literally as a spark of light when the sperm met the ovum. And they've literally captured this on video. This is what happens at the moment of conception. Sorry guys, the video cut out because it was just getting way too hot in the car. I should have known to keep the AC running. But literally, that's what happens at the moment of conception. Source is visiting your baby shower and bringing you gifts. But the problem is that most of the religious institutions, our parents, schools, all these people around us, they never taught us how to unravel the bow and open those presents. But the way to open those presents literally comes from tapping into your own heart, from going into that secret place. And that secret place where, the source of all things lives. And that's literally the place where we can manifest all these things from. This is literally the most powerful place in the universe, and it's where God resides. Want to know where God resides? It's right here, in the secret place, in the place of your heart. That's why the original patriarchs like Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the name that they gave to their understanding of divine source was El Shaddai, meaning the God of my breast. Why? Because they were tapping into their own heart space. They were quieting their own egos and really seeking that inner guidance system that was guiding them, go here, do this, give this thing, or dig this well over here. Even though there's a famine, Isaac dug wells and he prospered. Take the example of Jacob and the sheep. His father-in-law literally swindled him and, said, I'm going to take all the clean sheep and leave you all the spotted sheep. But Jacob saw that the spotted sheep were stronger. And Source told him, how to get them to mate more. And so he ended up with more sheep than ever. So even despite losing all the sheep, he ended up with more sheep than his father-in-law. That's how Source guides us from the inside. And when we tap into that, we realize our own talents, we realize our own destiny, why we're here, and we actually manifest our best lives. So that's the bottom line. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're here to accomplish. We're here to literally live our best life yet and live in the utopia that we've known we've come here to actually live in. Because we didn't come here to be manipulated. We didn't come here to, have all these weird control freaks tell us what to do and keep us in fear of, just going out to the store, just wondering, am I muzzled enough so that other people don't make a big deal about me? What is this? What have we succumbed to? We just bowed without even asking any questions. But Source has not given us a spirit of fear. Source has given us a spirit of power, and not just power, but a spirit of absolute love. That absolute love is the Greek word agape. And agape means, you're unconditional, you're unwavering, no matter what the circumstances, no matter the wind and the waves that's beating against your house, you're planted surely on that rock. That rock is your sure foundation. It's the anchor that which you go to, and you literally have that vision in you that propels you forward into a new way of doing things. With that being said, I'm going to get to work on this novel, and I will check back with you guys a bit later. Stay footed on that sure foundation and allow that faith to pull you to your destiny like a rope. Shalom.
Got some information that I want you to know.
It's like a rope.
Get your prayers answered and to stay in the flow.
It's like a rope.
Don't be a spiritual dope. Faith is like a rope.
It's like a rope.
It's like a rope, yeah.
It's like a rope.
The answer that you need is in heaven above.
It's like a rope.
Already been provided by the Father's great love.
It's like a rope.
And the rope on earth is the prayer you pray.
It's like a rope.
Mark 11:23, you can have what you say.
It's like a rope.
Don't sit around and mope. Faith is like a rope.
It's like a rope.
Like a rope, yeah.
It's like a rope.
You pitch that rope when you pray. The answer is yours that very day. But keep on pulling and don't let it go till you reach the end of your faith rope.
It's like a rope. It's like a rope.
And God will give it to you 'cause he cannot lie.
It's like a rope.
So keep on pulling from his heavenly skies.
It's like a rope.
No, don't be a spiritual dope. Faith is like a rope.
It's like a rope.
It's like a rope, yeah.
It's like a rope.
Don't
Honestly, like all these talents are coming to the surface now, and there's no way I'm holding back because I know what it also brings forth. Because I also know how leaving these doors open brings other things, especially like when you're walking in line with your talents, with what you're here to do. Like that just opens the door to the supernatural. And like I know I was saying earlier, like how your talents, they're given to you at birth because you have a reason for actually doing this stuff in the world. The first thing the kingdom of darkness wants you to do is to stop using your talents, because it knows that through those avenues is how you're going to actually conquer it. So everything it does is to get you to stop using it. Like the first attack is usually depression. And when you're depressed, you want to be alone. Like you're going to justify it any other way, but actually you just cut yourself off. And the first thing is that you just want to stop using your talents, like whatever they are. If you're a singer, you're like, man, I don't want to sing today. Or if you're a musician, what's the use of playing this instrument? I'm using music as an example, but it goes for anything. The first thing that the kingdom of darkness tries to stop you from doing is to use your talents. Why? Because that is the key to break the kingdom of darkness. That is the anointing in you. And the oracles of Ishayahu even say, it shall come to pass in that day that his burden shall be taken away off your shoulder. Talking about the burden of darkness. And his yoke from off your neck. And the yoke shall be destroyed because of the anointing. That's what destroys this yoke. And when the kingdom of darkness throws a yoke on you, it doesn't care. Like now, of course, when you go around, you have tractors and plowers and all these mechanical instruments to do the work. But before, they would just yoke oxen and get the oxen to plow the fields. And while a lot of people would pad their yokes so that their oxen weren't, burdened down and pressed by this thing, in the old days, they didn't care. They just took a big plank and hacked out like these U's in it and just threw that on the oxen, and this thing would dig into their backs and they would just get sore and bleed, but they would just work them all day. And that's kind of analogous to the kingdom of darkness. It puts a burden on you. It puts stress on you. It's pushing you. And anytime you feel like, oh, I got to do my talents, but it's pushing you and you're not feeling like it's just flowing, that means that the kingdom of darkness is actually twisting your perception and causing you to think that something is your talent when it's really not. Maybe it's in line with your talent, but just stressing about it, just trying to get things to work, that's still egoic. That's still working from the bottom up. And a lot of times it's not even our thoughts, but these other influence come in and they usurp our thoughts, and they use first person, mind you. So they'll say, I need to do this, or I should do this, or maybe I was wrong doing that other thing. And so they use first person when they come in. So if you're not aware of the vibration of thought that they use, you're going to think that those thoughts are your own just because they're in first person. But the burden of source is never difficult. It's never a push. It's never a struggle. It's never like trying to make things work, figuring it out in your head. None of that. Source's direction just flows like a river. And Jesus even said, come unto me, all you that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Heavy laden because of that yoke on your back. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your soul. Rest when you're working for the kingdom of heaven? Yes, because it just flows. And his yoke, he says, is easy, and his burden is light. So we must realize that it's by that anointing, it's by our talents that we can actually break the walls that the kingdom of darkness has held us trapped in. And then from there, we break forth into the world and actually influence others to do the same. And once we start doing that, it's literally like dominoes. Other people are going to start doing it. And though it's like one at a time, eventually that one at a time just flares up exponentially. And we're sitting in a group of people that are all shining their light. And when we're all shining our light, that light is so bright that there literally cannot be any darkness left. When it's just one candle, it's easy for shadows to still hide around other people. But when all people are holding their candles, man, you'll think the whole stadium's ablaze. So those are my thoughts on that. And I noticed that I have some beading that I have to do. And I think I'm going to share that on the show. So, you know what? Let's get right into that, shall we?
Take the beat to the street.
Alright, so here we are at the design board with my trusty Chinese manufactured plastic thingy. And I've got a whole bunch of projects on the go here. We got some abalone, some jade. These are actually seraphinite. So really cool stones. Of course, my beloved lapis lazuli. And some black pearl, white pearl, more pearls. But today I'm going to be making this muakite bracelet because I was literally just playing the piano one day and this thing exploded and beads flew everywhere. So had to collect those. I hope I got them all, so I just wrapped them in some saran wrap. But let's see. If I start at the 0 here and lay them out on the inner circle, I should get to about 17. Yeah, perfect. That looks just right. So we got our elastic stretchy string, and won't be needing this, but I will be using this threader. I also have this one to thread, but this one gets a whole lot more done in a shorter amount of time. It's kind of looking a little bit bent actually, but that's okay because it still gets the job done. Alright, so I am going to just open this up. This is basically like just 2 wires and then they're joined on the ends. Come on, baby. So I'm just gonna thread the elastic in one end, and then with the other end I'm just gonna string a few beads onto here. We'll do about 5 at a time, I'd say. Come on. There we go. There we go. And in case you're wondering, the stones that I'm working with, I'm sorry I didn't mention that. These stones are muakite, which is actually a really great earthy stone. So yeah, see, they just slip on just like that, and yeah. Just keep going. But yeah, muakite is a great earthy stone, and it's actually harvested somewhere in Australia. And it's actually a type of jasper, which is really cool. And jasper is like very earthy, very base. But again, like I don't determine my actions based on the stones themselves, but the stones do play a role, and also they look good. So color coded. Today's a brown day, brown shirt, wearing tiger's eye. And now we're doing the muakite beads. I can even put these last 2 in here just to make it easy. But yeah, we've got 5, 10, 15, 16, 17 beads. And that's a good number. It's a good number. I remember when I was younger, my aunt called me her sweetheart. And she, of course, had 2 daughters. So she said, oh yeah, my 2 daughters are sweetheart 1 and 2. And your younger brother's sweetheart 4, and you can be sweetheart 3. I'm like, nah, not a chance. I'm sweetheart number 17. And that was like a running joke in our family for a long time. Probably she still thinks about it anyway, but that was like, what, 30 years ago? Well, it would have had to be after my brother was born, so let's say 29. But yeah. So yeah, I'm just gonna string these together 3 times just so that they don't break. I think this one was only strung twice when I got it. So yeah, you wanna just take care with these because yeah, if they do break when you're out and about, and especially like in public, it's not very good. So, whoa, come on. But yeah, as you can see, like muakite has very distinct colors and very distinctive patterns in it, which are pretty cool when you really look at it, because there's like yellows, there's like this deep red, which I love. I love this really dark burgundy kind of color. It's just amazing color. And yeah, it does correspond with, actually muakite, if you're going by the chakra system, corresponds to all 3 of the lower level chakras, and including that dark color it has in there corresponds to the root chakra, which is not only red but it's also black. So, all right, so we got this strung once. Let's just pull this, and it's elasticy, so you just kind of go like that and it pulls. If you pull it too tight at once, you know, you might risk snapping the string. But if you just go a little bit at a time, just kind of wiggle it, then go back, wiggle it and go back, keep pulling it, keep pulling it, keep pulling it as it comes out, it automatically kind of tightens. Tighten.
A little tighter, tighter.
I'm just gonna pull this tight before I string the second string. Looking good. All right, last threading. Let's do it. So just kind of stretch the string and make sure we're putting it in the right direction, because we don't want to unthread it. And we'll just get the first guy, second guy, third guy, fourth guy, and just keep going. Just keep going. And we'll do, oh, come on. You can do 6 at a time. Alright, and just pull that through. And sometimes the elastic express, especially when you get a few strands in, it can be tight moving through. But if you just stretch the string out, it just slips right on through. Just like that. Just stretch it, and then it narrows as you stretch, of course, right? But you just want to pay attention that you're not putting too much tensile strain on it, because then it can literally snap on you, and that's not good. That's not what we want, right? So we got 6 beads, and now let's get another 6. 1, 2, 3, and once they're already on the string, it's much easier just pushing this needle through, because they're already lined up. There we go. There we go. If you can get it through when it's like this, double plus the 2 strands that are already through, then yeah, this part sliding through is not too much of an issue. Just make sure you don't get too tense, because yeah, if this snaps, then beads everywhere. Fireworks of beads. But yeah, just keep pulling both strings just for a while, because it does kind of tend to get loose. So let's do the rest of these. Come on, 1, 2, 3. Let's just do 3 at a time. Make it a bit easier. And that way we can tighten it up. You know what? I don't even need this. Let's get rid of this guy. Alright, and then we go for the last 3. Just like that. Finally done. And there you have it. Oh, I guess I can't say that just yet. But it's pretty much already there. And yeah, just tighten it up a bit. You don't want it too tight, because it's easier when it's loose to get it off, and then you're not, you know, stressing about it snapping once you do. So we'll take this off of there, and let's just tie the knot. Tie the knot, baby. Wedding ceremony. In case you didn't know, that's how they get married in India, at least the traditional Indian weddings. Of course, the ceremonies take several days, because there's different ceremonies for different things. You know, there's like the dowry, and then the bride ceremony, and then they do some other stuff with the jewelry, but the main ceremony, like they literally sit around a fire altar and then they walk around it 7 times, and then the priests tie a knot from both of their garments together, and that's what it means when people say, oh, you tied the knot. So I'm just gonna make sure this is nice and tight, and then as I stretch these two, I'm also gonna stretch this a bit, alternating just to make sure it is nice and tight, and that should be good enough. So I'm gonna get my trusty scissors and just clip that, and there you have it, Muakite bracelet. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that, and I'm gonna check back with you tomorrow when I pick up that poster. See you later. Oh, you know what? Let's see if I can do this. Ah, didn't work. Okay. Oh well. Check back with you guys later. Money, money, money. It's a rich man's world. All I need is money. Just a minute on that.
Here we go.
You see, here's the problem. If you have a lot of money, then you might be a target. Let me show you something from our passage in Mishle. Check it out. It says, the ransom of a man's soul are his riches, but the poor man hears no rebuke. That's Proverbs 13:8, Joel's direct translation. Now this is a really cool passage. Here's what it means. It means the guy that's got money, well, everybody wants him. Everyone wants a piece of him. Not necessarily for his personality, but because they want a piece of that pie. And some may even use or even extort or blackmail him just to get him to cough up some of that dough their way. But the guy who doesn't have money, nobody bothers with him. He doesn't have to worry about a lot of those problems with all these issues related to other people wanting his money. It's true. And the real bottom line is that you can be just as satisfied without having a lot of money as you think having a lot of money will afford you, which is unfortunately not always the case. The key is getting close to your creator by tuning into Source. Tap into your heart today. Alright guys, so we have picked up the poster, and let me tell you, it's looking pretty beautiful. But before I put it up, I'm gonna have to get rid of this old poster. And you know, not that this is bad, like this is literally the flag of the community. And I have a map of the community right here. And as you can see, there's all these different icons for each of the different locations on the map. But I don't really have time to get into that right now because we gotta unveil that poster. But yeah, before I do that, I just gotta take this down for a better picture to go in its place. All right, there we go. So I'm just gonna tape these bottom edges. Then we're gonna be putting some wall tack on the corners. Ooh. Perfect. Perfect. Man, that's looking good. That's looking good. I am impressed. Oh man, there's still glare. But that's the gloss paper, so we got to use the best paper. And that artwork, man, what do you say for that? Like, that turned out really, really nice. I am impressed. I am impressed. So yeah, just covering a bit of the symbolism here. So we have the 4 creatures. We have the eagle, the ox, the man, and the lion. Now, this kind of symbolizes what I saw in my near-death experience. It wasn't quite like this, but then again, like, you can't really put this into words or symbols. What I saw was like an ocean of rippling lapis lazuli that was alive. And it was intense because this is a solid stone, a gemstone, but it was alive in this scene, and it was literally like an ocean just waving, and like it was speaking through its billows, through its waves. It was quite intense. And on that ocean there was a throne of fire, and then a being like a man sitting on the throne. It was a fire from the waist up, like flames shooting upward, and then from the waist down, flames shooting downward, and literally just rippling out, and energy just exploding from this being. I couldn't even see it. It was just like white hot light. But of course that's symbolized by the lion, which is on fire. But then standing in front of the throne to the left, or to my left at least, was like a man draped in a white robe And that robe was also dipped in blood. So that's kind of this symbolism here, the robe that's dipped in blood. Now above the throne, there was a rainbow that was also alive. This rainbow was not only colors horizontally, but also vertically. Or is it the other way around? Anyway, it was like colors that you can't even see in this physical dimension. It was intense. And then surrounding this whole area, there were pillars just not holding anything up, because I don't even believe that there's anything above this height of the universe. But they were pillars, and they were all made of individual gemstones. Like in here I put ruby, emerald, amethyst. It was beyond words. And these pillars themselves were alive, and the glistening and the shine from them was almost like their communication. I don't know what to say. And yeah, again, there was lightnings, so I did put some lightning in there. And I communicated with this man who dressed in the white robe dipped in blood. And that's kind of why the reasoning sessions have taken off the way they have, is because I received like this intense download and like realization, like, oh my goodness, this is what's going on. And this is the nature that churches and religious institutions have been sitting on. And again, we see like 4 of these beings, the cherubim, which are like the Zoe, the living creatures that surround the throne. I'm probably going to do another reasoning sesh about that. Hopefully I get to editing this video soon enough. Otherwise that reasoning sesh is already going to be published. But yeah, this is basically like Yechezkel, or Ezekiel in the English. He had a vision when he saw the literal appearance of the glory of Yahweh. And that's actually what this says up here. It says, this is the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. It says, Ho Mare Damot Kavod Yahweh. It's not the glory of Yahweh. It's not even the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. It's the appearance. It's the 3D manifestation, because actually 3D is a shadow compared to these higher dimensions, right? So this is the appearance of the likeness of the glory of Yahweh. And that's kind of what I got here. I also wrote Kadosh LeYahweh, which is holiness to Yahweh, that was inscribed on the priest's mitre in the tabernacle and the temple periods of Israel. But yeah, back to Ezekiel's vision. We see the cherubim with 4 heads, and we have the eagle, the lion, the man, and the ones facing this side, you can see an ox. And so yeah, these cherubim, like, they're not like anything you've seen before. Like, they have hands like a man, but their feet are like calves' feet. And they have 6 wings. So 2 wings stretched out upward, 2 wings covering their bodies, and 2 wings covering their feet. And down here we have the seraphim, which are like serpent angels. They're almost like sprites, but they're a different form of angel. And yeah, this whole thing is intense. And then yeah, you have these wheels, which are like wheels within wheels, or gyroscopes really, and they're embedded with eyes all around them. These other creatures that circle the throne actually have eyes within and without them all over, and these eyes are tremendous. Like, they're huge, and they're all looking. Like, if you come face to face, or eyeball to eyeball, or should I say, with these creatures, it's intense. It's intense. And like, they're not looking at you, they're looking at the one sitting on the throne. But yeah, it will just undo you. You'll be undone. You'll be undone, and you'll just realize just how far you fall on your own efforts. Like, we all have our own shortcomings, right? And we don't want to face them up. Some people say, you know what, I'm good. I don't need any of this stuff. But really, when you come face to face with this kind of perfection, this kind of facet of reality, it just humbles you. It humbles you, and it makes you realize the grandeur of what is out there. And you know what? Why wouldn't you want to participate in this kind of majesty? And as you can see, the banner here, the streamers are also just riddled with eyes all around. And those eyes are just a symbol of awareness and insight and wisdom and understanding and knowledge. And that's all there, and it's everywhere. So this is literally like a 2D representation of just kind of what I saw in that vision. But yeah, man, it was intense, and it literally shifted my worldview, made me see a broader perspective, and made me realize the power that, yes, the religious institutions, the churches have been sitting on, but they haven't really dealt justice to that knowledge, that gold mine that they're just hoarding. They don't give it to the congregation, and really they don't partake of it themselves. But the time is changing because we are waking up to the true nature of reality. We are seeing beyond the veil, and we're taking our authority back. When we tap into Source, Source is going to reveal these things to us on an individual basis. We don't need priests or ministers or pastors to actually tell us what is. Source can tell every one of us what really is. And the fourfold phase of the living redemption of the living Logos embodied in the historical Jesus. You have the four Gospels, which represent Christ the King, who is the triumphant Lion of Judah. You have the ox, which is the sacrifice. You have the man, which is Jesus's humanity. And of course, this symbol represents the pouring out of waters, which represents that Spirit of God. And he's wearing the seven colors, which correspond to the seven heavens. And finally, we have the eagle, which represents that resurrection power. And right at the bottom, we have the Arabic phrase, Holibat al-Rum, which literally means Rome has fallen. And that's what's going on. That's even what this whole community of artistry represents. Like the map itself is a representation of the seven hills of Rome. You know, we have Quirinal, Viminal, Capitoline, Esquiline, Caelian, Palatine, Aventine, and they're changed into groves or forests because this isn't about mountains anymore. This isn't about political edifices anymore. This is about us as a harmonious macroorganism coming into harmony with the earth itself and with who we're here to be. Humans are literally the living earth, the earth given breath and walking around with awareness. And that itself is superimposed on the map, ancient map of Babylon, because Babylon has fallen. It's being replaced by the kingdom of our God. And the square that used to be Babylon is now turned into a circle, and that's the center of the community. You know what? Maybe I'll go into that in a future episode, but as you can see, all these icons are on the eagle's wings, as well as the symbol of the flag, which was up here, and now it's replaced by this poster. We have another rainbow, and on this side we have the axe, which is laid to the root to cut down every tree that doesn't produce fruit. And on this side we have the mace, which represents the scepter of righteousness, which smashes to pieces the scepter of wickedness and sweeps all those pieces into dry places to be burned out by the holy fire of the living Logos. So, man, I had fun drawing this, and I have even more fun unveiling it because that work was intense. It was hard. It took a full day, and honestly, I didn't even think I would get done, but man, this thing just looks amazing. So yeah, that's what's up. We're living in a new time, and literally the age of the outpouring, the man bearing the pitcher of water. That's what's coming through right now. And we're literally stepping up as individuals, as sovereigns, reclaiming our sovereignty, taking this world back for source and shining the truth, shining our light through our talents. So this is one aspect of my talents. I hope you enjoyed me sharing that with you. There's much more to come, many more different kinds of projects on the go. So I'm going to be sharing whatever I can on this show. But yeah, more important than that, you individually tap in and ask Source, what do you want from me? How can I let you guide my life? Because our egos can't even line stuff up like this. But honestly, this was just downloaded to me overnight. I just sketched this out, and then from there I was inspired to actually do the art, and from there you're looking at the final product right now. So that's the synchronicity of Source, and that's what I want for all of you guys, all of you who watch this show. I know you're on board. I know you want in your heart to find the truth and to actually tap into this fount of inspiration, this fount of profound just acceleration forward. So know that that energy, that inspiration, and those paradigms that can be downloaded to you only come from Source. And when you really ask Source to reveal to you these hidden meanings behind the scriptures, and you really go at it on an individual level, you know, you're not listening to other people to relay this message to you. You know, even me, like I might just guide you in the right direction, but don't take anything I say without judging it for yourself with Source, because Source is the ultimate truth. And that's the bottom line. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to get going, and I'm going to get some black bean pudding into my belly. Actually, you know what? I made it a little bit different today, and I actually got some great BC cherries. They're really ripe. You know, sometimes you never know with cherries, but these ones are amazing. And literally, I turned that recipe into vegan Black Forest cake, which was honestly my favorite cake growing up. And now that I'm vegan and I've discovered this, just mixing cherries in with it, I might actually turn that into a cake one day. Who knows? I might make a video of that on my channel. Cakes are a bit more complicated when I make them because I make them with the actual beans. I don't use flour, and layering and all that stuff takes a bit of effort that really doesn't matter because it all gets mixed up in your mouth anyway. But yeah, I made a Black Forest pudding, so I'm going to be enjoying that now, calling it a day, and getting to editing this video because editing takes the time, right? So I love you guys. I'll catch you in the next show. Joel signing out once again. Agape, salaam, namaste, hotep.